welcome to this edition of Transformation Thursday. As always, we are so grateful, so thankful for this opportunity, so grateful and thankful that you have thought it good to join us for another edition of Transformation Thursday. As always, I welcome Christopher. Always a treat. Today, I want to talk a little bit about preparation. We are in the heart of hurricane season. Last month, Hurricane Beryl poured into Texas, and now we're even watching as other activity is taking place in the Atlantic with the potential to impact the Florida Peninsula. Each and every year, starting in May, we begin this campaign encouraging people to get prepared, to develop an evacuation plan, to assemble an emergency kit with food and water and medicine, batteries, gas, money, and important paperwork to make sure that they are strengthening their home and to heed all the warning signs. But despite these campaigns and these efforts, despite the potential dangers of hurricanes, many people are still left unprepared. They're unprepared because they won't take the necessary precautions, unprepared because of misplaced priorities, and unprepared because they believe they can just ride it out. And each year, far too many people choose to just ride it out. They choose to put themselves and others in harm's way. They choose not to heed the warning signs. They choose to let pride and other things get in the way and end up paying the cost. But what I've discovered is that many of us live life the same way. We live life unprepared, choosing to ride it out. We choose to straddle the fence. We choose to be conformed to this world. We choose to play the field, rolling the dice on where we will spend eternity. We choose not to heed the warning signs and sounds of a soon coming king, sounds of a shift in the atmosphere. We find ourselves failing to be prepared, leaving our work undone, opportunities on the tables, and dreams unfulfilled. For 3.5 years, Jesus was preparing his disciples for this moment. He was preparing them, giving them the warning signs, admonishing them, teaching them, loving them, strengthening them, keeping them, and for this very moment, the moment when opportunity knocks, the moment when words must match action. Having just finished their last meal, they march out to Mount Olives. And Jesus tells them to watch and to pray. And he says, can you pray with me just for a little while? In essence, he was telling them preparation requires persistence. Preparation requires persistence. Persistence, persistence, persistence. This week, like many of you, I've been watching the Olympics, and I'm always intrigued with the stories of how they've overcome, the stories of how they continue to practice and to be persistent in their craft. But sometimes preparation ceases when pride kicks in, when we start depending on ourselves and depending on our own strength. We go back to Jesus in Gethsemane. He asked Peter and James and John to pray with him. But we watch Peter not being able to watch and pray, and immediately he goes back to his old ways. When the moment comes, he reaches back to old Peter. Pride will cause you to depend on you instead of following God's way. But not only does pride hinder preparation, but also priority. Because the Bible says they went to sleep because they had misplaced priorities. And finally, the final point is they fell asleep because they were undisciplined. Preparation requires pride, requires us to remove pride, to focus on priority, and to be disciplined. And there's some challenges that happen when we go unprepared. There's some things that happen when we are unprepared. When we're unprepared, we respond inappropriately. When we're unprepared, we run from opportunities. When we're unprepared, we follow, but we follow at a distance. Peter wanted to support Jesus. He wanted to be there for him. He wanted the opportunity, but he was unprepared. And because he was unprepared, he followed, but he wasn't close enough to grab the opportunity. And finally, when you're unprepared, you convince yourself that the promise is not for you, that what God has for you is not for you. And so affirm with me that I will be prepared, that I will not be caught flat-footed, but I will stay in the moment. I will be prepared. See you next week on Transformation Thursday.